So the stage is being set and the crypto narrative is building right now, which should lead price all the way up to about that $100,000 mark. But it is a time where you start to need to be cautious, at least when opening longs into what's about to come next, because the narrative will very, very quickly shift and change. And part of the narrative looks like this, right? You're starting to see major inflows into Bitcoin. We actually had one of the biggest inflows yet. If you look at Invest Answers over here, BTC ETF just had the second biggest day ever, bringing in nearly $1 billion in a single day, with BlackRock contributing almost $900 million. In just 8 days, they took 46,000 Bitcoin pretty much off of the market. Unreal. And he says, looks like they're trying to get in before 𝗕𝗤𝗓 does, because 𝗕𝗤𝗓 is also trying to raise funds. So this is going to be a bit of a narrative that you're going to start to see building within the crypto markets as we do move towards that blow off top period. And it's just a question of when and how fast it comes. So a lot to look at over here. The question is, how many Bitcoin are even mined per day? Well, it's actually, the answer is 900, approximately 144 blocks per day are mined on average, right? We currently get a mining reward for every 10-minute block that gets solved is about 6.25 Bitcoin. So 144 times 6.25 is about 900, right? 900 Bitcoin is the average amount per day. And pretty much on certain days, you have BlackRock, which is taking all of those Bitcoin and more off of the market, right? Even more than are being created on a daily basis. The narrative is building, right? You can see over here also Donald Trump coming out and saying that Bitcoin is money and should not be taxed. These are the types of things that help to bring mass adoption into the market. Retail tend to flow in off of these types of news events, but don't be fooled, right? If you actually go into Wales school, we discuss this. We're busy with the cohorts right now. This is one of the things that I discuss when we get to the section titled Signs and Symptoms of Major Cycle Tops. Now, we're not there yet, but it is something you have to be cognizant of and aware of that could potentially play out in the future. This is all great and well, but when the likes of nation states start FOMOing into crypto and they start to change the laws around, or at least speculate that they're going to change the laws, they hint at that, then ultimately that's where you need to be careful. So Jason Bazzino coming out as well with the tweet, of course, from Michael 𝗕𝗤𝗓, wanting to raise, this is on the MicroStrategy site, wanting to bring in $42 billion worth of at least raised funds, which they can use to buy Bitcoin. And he says, yeah, can they do it? Who will beat him to it, right? Well, who will beat him to it? Well, we covered that already. It looks like they're trying to race for the Bitcoin over there, with BlackRock, of course, jumping in quick. And he says, this winter coming to a chart near you, get ready for the blockbuster event of 2025, starring MicroStrategy as Michael 𝗕𝗤𝗓, Cathie Wood, BlackRock, Musk, and Trump, with a special appearance by the Chinese Communist Party and IBM, right? This is going to be the biggest event of the decade, of course, leading into that blow off top. But this is the part where you need to pay attention to those signs and symptoms. So we have a whole lot of different things that we're going to track on this channel. That's why make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Comment as well how long you've been around. Are you new? Have you been following for a long time? I'd love to get to know the audience. I do read the comments there on the right-hand side of my screen over here. And join every single day. The reason being is because throughout the bull market, we're going to continue to monitor these very, very important metrics to determine the signs and symptoms of a major cycle top. So first, we start to look for things like this when the news headlines start to get a little bit heated, and then we start to look towards actual quantitative data, things like the number of app downloads for crypto apps. We'll have a look at the inflow of YouTube views, for example. That's something that we have marked off over here. And we want to see rapid increases over here to determine when there could be a potential top. And then we also look for other things that, may cause major problems in the future. And MicroStrategy could be one of those companies. As Evan says over here, MicroStrategy is a GBTC 2.0 event. Remember what happened with GBTC? They were net sellers, right? When they switched to an ETF, they became net sellers, and consequently, that created pretty much the whole drawdown from March to pretty much the lows that we had, right? So if you look at the commentary over here from 𝗕𝗥𝗙𝗪, massive GBTC discount and unwind of leverage is what actually crashed the crypto market and had many ripple effects, right? 3AC, FTX collapse, all of that. The irony is that MicroStrategy is going to run back the GBTC playbook in exactly the same way. So it's all great and well now while the market is moving up, and this brings in additional hype. But these are the things you need to be careful of towards the end of the cycle. Now, be sure to keep you up to date as we do gauge, the sentiment of you. And one of the best sentiment indicators is the YouTube views. And slowly but surely, some of the viewers are coming back, the retail viewers. I would say once Bitcoin gets to around $80,000, that's where you're going to start to see a rapid uptick in the YouTube viewers. You can see the acceleration with the price over here on the white line. As it starts to accelerate up, the YouTube viewers come back in a big way, and then immediately it just dies off. So you're looking for those sustained periods like we saw in 2021. And I think one of the best ways that you can gauge where a cycle top will come is you have to look towards some of the channels that are, not as consistent when it comes to their posting. So I'm not here to call out any particular YouTubers or channels. Of course, I think that all of them offer a lot of value, but historically, some of the ones that only tend to post regularly towards the top are, people like 𝗕𝗥𝗥𝗏𝗧𝗏 over here. That's why you can see, look at the massive spike in views leading into March. And if we reset the zoom and you look at the 2021 peak, this tells a story of when you can expect the market cycle to top, right? We can also have a look at Elio trades, very, very similar trajectory or chart over there. If we remove 𝗕𝗥𝗥𝗏𝗧𝗏, you can see that's what it looks like, right? These guys generate the most amount of attention and resonates, I guess, really well with the retail audience at the end, right? If you start to isolate this and you look more towards, others that have been super consistent throughout, they're always posting. Let's have a look over here for which ones do we have over here? We can look for, okay, let's see, Jason Pizzino. We'll put him on. You can see a much more steady chart over here. We can have a look at Coin Bureau as well. Also a pretty steady chart. Of course, they're still going to be putting in those peaks, but they don't have those sporadic spikes at the peak euphoria phases. And this is what we're looking for. These are some of these signs and symptoms. Altcoin Daily as well, we can put that on. Let's have a look at Benjamin Cowan. Benjamin Cowan, who's, of course, actually the creator of this app. Let's isolate it to his. So you can see still makes a peak over there, but much more steady throughout. So we're going to look for the more flaky participants within the market, and that could be one sign and symptom of a major cycle top. Now, if we look at this tweet over here as well from TechDev, the markets are really a product of liquidity, right? The 3.7-year liquidity cycle is the world that Bitcoin lives in, as suggested in this tweet over here. And that liquidity has recently started to pick up. And you can see over here that some point in 2025, if you look at these sine waves, you can actually work out the timing cycles, and you're looking towards the top end of this sine wave over here for a major cycle peak. So again, it lines up with all the timing factors that we've been so heavily focused on. So do keep an eye out on this as the market does continue to push up and the stock market is making new all-time highs. Now, you can see the sentiment in just a short pullback that we've had within the altcoin sector has immediately shifted, right? The sentiment has immediately shifted despite the fact that Bitcoin is literally trading higher than it was when the candle opened earlier on this month and this week, for that matter. You can see price at the $72,174 level. A closing candle here or anywhere higher is incredibly bullish, and the chances are that in November we're going to be leading into a big breakout, and I would say $80,000 Bitcoin price is most likely on the table leading into that month of November. We also have the stochastic RSI trending into the bull zone over here, which is above the 80 mark over there, and you can see all the prior times we got into that 80 mark, this led to those big moves, right, towards the upside. So once you get into that zone and you remain there for quite some time, that tends to create those parabolic advancements, all in alignment of what we're looking for. That should bring the late retail back into the market, which is what generally drives those hype phases and the quick up only environments that most of you have come to learn to know and love when it comes to the crypto market, aka also known as altcoin season, right? So these are some of the things that we're looking for. You can see on the total cryptocurrency market cap as well, everything's still looking pretty healthy, high highs and high lows. Now you've had your big push up. You're putting in a little bit of a consolidation over here. Watch over the coming days for absorption into this region, and maybe price holds up in a consolidative range for the next 2 weeks or so. You know, the market hates uncertainty leading into the elections. There might be a tiny bit of de-risking into the elections over the next couple of days. So do be aware of that. But the high time frame, the picture remains the same. It's high highs, high lows. We've created the order block, and we're looking for a big move, right? A big move out that should lead to a huge breakout for the total cryptocurrency market cap. Now, you can see if you look at the long to short ratio over here, it's actually the majority of the market is starting to shift towards the short side. And this is what I'm talking about, how the sentiment so quickly shifts on a day-to-day basis. And you should be able to withstand these emotional jumps within the market. And the easiest way to do that is to reduce your risk and your position size, right? So if you're feeling emotional turmoil within the market, I really encourage you to decrease your leverage, right? That's step number one, decrease your leverage. Step number two, take a little bit of money off the table. If you have too much money on the table, you're going to get chopped in and out with these wild swings over there. So the fact that over here, while we're in the midst of a major breakout and you see the 24-hour long to short ratio flipping onto the short side predominantly, this actually favors the bulls on the long side, since it is overall a bullish market. And that creates the possibility that in the next 24 hours, you might see another massive amount of shorts liquidated, right? If you look at this over here, you can see the liquidity is building on the top side. You got stronger liquidity on the top side than the bottom side, with 22 million over there on the upper end, sitting at around that $73,500 level. So keep an eye on that for as price pushes up. Now, we said that the best case scenario is that you ultimately don't have price run away too quickly, but following the break above these high volume areas, you put in a little bit of a consolidation within this region, right? So keep an eye out on that. We want to see price consolidate and hold above this key $70,000 region. As long as price remains, I would say, above $68,000, everything is still bullish. It's continuation higher, and that causes or creates an opportunity for latecomers to get into the market before the next major expansion. So there it is. We're in the SOS phase. We've been waiting for this for quite some time. We're above the previous week's high, the previous quarterly high as well. And you can see where those levels line up again. That's why that $69,000 is going to be a pretty key level to hold above. You don't want to deviate back below the previous week's high, and especially not under the previous quarterly high, which is at $70,000. So we'll watch and see how price maintains at these levels. If bulls can continue to defend this level, create maybe a bit of a trading range between the $69,000 and $74,000 level, that will be absolutely optimal. This is what we covered yesterday. You basically want to just see price hold up and chop about here for maybe another 2 weeks. As soon as the election phase is over, that will create a strong base, a bull flag, and will meet the criteria of what we've been looking at for months now, which is the Wyckoff accumulation schematic, where we move into the SOS phase, right? The SOS phase is oftentimes characterized with a short consolidation, a little bit of testing around those range highs, right? There's your range highs. You can see the range highs very clearly based on where the previous tops were. And that's what brings that retail interest, right? This is why we're focusing on some of these sentiment indicators, waiting for the retail interest to come back into the market. So the funding rate is still pretty flat to negative overall on a higher time frame, right? We still haven't reached those areas of froth like we saw back in March, which means it's not too late, right? It's not too late yet. There is still plenty of opportunity. And you can see that as well by the BBWP, the Bollinger Band width percentile on Bitcoin expanding. You got Ethereum's one on the weekly, which is slowly starting to turn back towards the upside. And these have measured moves up to about $5,000 for Ethereum and $106,000 for Bitcoin. And this can happen very, very quickly. So you don't want to be caught off guard, right? Remember, we've spoken a lot about your positioning. You're looking to have your the majority of your spot positions already set before the breakout actually occurs. And we've spoken about this for months. Maybe you're new, maybe you're only arriving today. If you are, look, you want to probably dollar cost average in pretty aggressively as opposed to just market buying in one order because of what I outlined over here. There could still be some chop within this environment, but you're looking to scale your positions in between $69,000 and $74,000. The good news is if you are late to the market cycle, the truth be told, altcoins have not even nearly moved yet, right? They've only a couple of them, only the ones that have been really strong have moved. And that's what we can see over here in terms of the funding, right? Typically, the funding will go pretty aggressive with the yellows and oranges when the altcoins are moving aggressively, because that brings the late retail in and they tend to over leverage, immediately opening up as high leverage positions as possible within the market, right? So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the expansion of the volatility. I am currently long on Ethereum. Might be a little bit premature, which is why I will deploy more capital into Ethereum on this long if it takes a little bit longer to play out this ETH BTC bottoming process. But I do believe that over the next 60 days, you should see a bottom in ETH BTC, right? Whether this is the exact bottom or maybe come a little bit lower. In terms of timing is oftentimes much more important than looking at, Fibonacci targets and things like that. You're looking at somewhere within this region over here for an ETH BTC bottom, which means if you have a plan to scale into the position, you can essentially time as close to the bottom as is possible, right? Remember, you'll be bringing your average entry down as you dollar cost average in. So there's my trade. I'm currently in the ETH long, 47% up. It went up as high as I think about like 65% yesterday. I'm going to continue to leave this and give it the opportunity to possibly break out. I am monitoring on this chart over here as well. You can see if we look at ETH right now on the 4-hour time or on the hourly time frame, it's coming directly into that 50 EMA. So I'm going to give it a chance over here to bounce, because typically when these moves do begin, you tend to see that that price will bounce off of that 50. Of course, a hard stop will have to come in play if we do start to take out these levels. Especially on a closing basis. If you get below this wick over here, a wick basis might come in there, but I don't want any closing candles underneath there. I don't even want closing candles below this $2,616 level. So continuing to monitor that. Now, how would I stop out of this leverage position? Well, if it did do something like that, I do believe that you'll get a bounce off the 200. It will probably come back up, and then you'll probably exit more or less at the same level over here if it does reject. That is if it does, right? What you may see is you may just see price hold up over here, and in the next couple of hours you just start to put in some higher prices on ETH like that, and we have continuation of this move. So we need to wait to see what happens when the stock market does, of course, open. Now, these trades have, of course, been dropped in the Whale Room Discord, right? This is a final call. This is your last opportunity. We do have something different which is occurring in Whale Room. Remember that the pricing will go up by 60% in the next 24 hours, less than 24 hours. You have less than 24 hours as the clock strikes 12 US time, midnight US time, and the clock rolls over to the 1st of November. Immediately, the prices will go up by 60%. But as per the message that we've just given, the OGs in the space that have joined early, we want to, kind of separate them and honor them for having joined. They're being issued a special icon or badge. Think of it like a little NFT. It's the diamond hands. It's going to come with future benefits, and they'll be locked in at that $99 price so long as they don't leave, right? So if you want to be part of this group, this is the only way you'll ever get the diamond hands icon. It's a strong community in there, and separate yourself from the rest of the crowd, right? Some of the gains that we've got, just so you can see what's typically done in there. This is the PopCat trade taken by one of our coaches, Josh, 1,400% up. You have another trade taken by Josh, 371% up on Solana. And then you have Chris already up 50% since the buy zone on 𝗕𝗎𝗄, which is one of the real world asset protocols that we're looking at. And then we have Banana Gun also up significantly on this trade, which was recently just taken. So make sure you jump in, right? This is the final call, last chance. We want to separate the OGs, those who have been with us for a long time, from the late retail participants. And we may even cap how many people can come into Whale Room as soon as the floodgates open, when the market breaks all-time highs. We want to have a tight-knit group over there. So take advantage while you still can, and let's continue. So alt season is just around the corner, right? We've seen this, we've studied this, we've looked at the breakout of Bitcoin, and as Bitcoin leads into that parabolic phase, that's typically where your alt season tends to occur. We're looking for others to increase towards the upside. We're looking for others' dominance as well to increase towards the upside, and that usually all gets met with a breakdown of the Bitcoin dominance, which we're still waiting for, right? Look at that power move. We spoke about the potential for the Bitcoin dominance to push straight through the upper boundary over here of this pattern, right? Remember, we spoke about the order of significance when it comes to charting. You're looking at things like horizontals and trend, which are a higher priority to look at versus, diagonal lines or chart patterns. These come last on the list. So in terms of trend, it's an incredibly powerful bullish trend over here for the Bitcoin dominance, with everything ripping towards the upside over there. In terms of horizontals, well, you are coming into key horizontal resistance. Remember, this is the order block that initially led to the massive breakdown. And when it comes to classical charting, what you'll typically find is oftentimes price will revisit that order block, right? This is why I said, give or take, we're targeting between 60 and possibly even 63%. It's just a question of how deep into this order block you trade trend for the Bitcoin dominance, right? But more or less, you're looking towards the end. Remember that you want to think in terms of risk to reward, right? You want to think in terms of ratios. And when you think in terms of ratios, this would be the ratio, right? You're looking for at some point within this zone, the Bitcoin dominance rally to end, and you're looking for at the very least to move down into this 48% region, possibly even if it plays out like the prior cycles, a move all the way down to the 39% region, which therefore gives you, in terms of risk to reward, in terms of probabilities, in terms of ratios, it's giving you about a 4-to-1 risk to reward ratio, which means, you know, if you give up 1 Bitcoin or 0.1 Bitcoin or 0.01 Bitcoin, but you give up 1 unit of your Bitcoin over here for the possibility of a breakdown in Bitcoin dominance, you stand the chance to gain 4 more. Right? Does that make sense, right? You give up 1, you stand a chance to gain 4 more, and that's based on the ratios that we're looking at over here. Now, I'm not saying that you have to ape out of your Bitcoin at this exact moment in time, but you should shift your mindset to start to consider that altcoins are probably going to be where the best opportunities will lie in the coming days and weeks. And the best place to find out where those altcoins are going to be and which ones are going to be the top performers, well, again, guys, jump into 𝗲𝗏. This is going to be the easiest place. This is where I keep you up to date on my portfolios and everything that I'm doing. My actual trading portfolio has been dropped in there, and I'll update it anytime that I make a change to that portfolio. So, you know, take it from the pros and the coaches in the group, right? We're also looking for a breakdown in DXY, which currently on today's candle, it is coming down nicely over here. Look, it's going to take a little bit of time. It might just pause and consolidate over here, but really for Bitcoin bulls and crypto bulls to get their way, you would need to see the DXY breakdown, right? This has been a major headwind for the crypto market. As long as the DXY goes up, it's a headwind. If it goes down, it becomes a tailwind, you know, putting wind in the sails of the crypto sailboat and helping the market to catapult forward, right? Catapult forward and towards the upside over there. So we want to gain acceptance below 102.95. Give it a bit of time. You know, this is a weekly time frame, so it's probably going to take a little bit of time to play out. This is in alignment with what I've said about ETH BTC. Generally speaking, when you have the DXY breakdown, it's probably because the Fed has shifted into a loose monetary policy and, you know, they're buying back stocks. And that's typically the environment where the DXY will break down and crypto and specifically altcoins will do well. So we're looking for a simultaneous breakdown in the DXY as what we would expect for the breakdown in Bitcoin dominance, which we would expect for a bottoming process in ETH BTC and the breakout of the others chart with others dominance at the same time, right? So all of these things are various different moving parts, but they actually all work together on the same wheel, right? So they're like little spokes in the wheel on a bicycle. You need to think of it like that. You need to look at everything and all the moving parts and how they work together. You should also get the breakdown of USDT dominance, which should bring some much needed relief within the altcoin sector, because the altcoin sector, to tell the truth, has been heavily knocked, right? Unless you've been in the right coins, which thankfully, you know, the whale room community and I have been in, things like Solana, you know, things like certain meme coins, Popcat, GigaChat. These have been some of the top performers, and thankfully they've contributed to the majority of our portfolio. But when you get liquidity coming into the market in a massive way, you know, as per what TechDev showcases over here and the breakdown of the DXY, it becomes like throwing a dart at a board, right? Anything you hit is probably going to go up, and that is where the true altcoin season comes into play. So we'll keep an eye out on this. We'll move on to altcoins now. Please do get your altcoin request ready. Guys, smash the like button as well. Let me know which altcoins you want. Everybody start dropping your altcoins in the comment section. I'm going to have a look at that in a moment. While we wait for your altcoins to run through over here, I do want to remind you, you know, you have the opportunity to spin the wheel to win, you know, actually 3 Bitcoin, right? This is a massive, massive prize. You can get 2 Bitcoin from 𝗲𝗏 over here. If you use the link in the description below, sign up to 𝗲𝗏, non-KYC exchange. You don't need to give up any of your personal information, no passport, no ID, none of that stuff. Simply just an email address and a password. That's it, right? Then come through, make a small deposit. You'll be eligible to spin the wheel. You can win 2 BTC, an iPhone, Shiba Inu. I still can't read this because upside down. Tron. You can win over here, futures bonus, Pepe coin, and you have 1 in 8 chance of getting nothing, right? That's pretty good odds. The 1 in 8 chance that you get nothing, that means that you have about an 80% chance that you are literally going to win something over here, right? So use the link below. If you land on 2 BTC, of course, you win 2 BTC over there. But the good news is once you've signed up to Blowfin, you can also come through over here to win a Bitcoin. You can click on this link over here. And then this is through Banter Bubbles. You have the opportunity to guess the price of Bitcoin and what it will be by the end of this year as the clock strikes 12 on Coinbase. There it is on the top over there. And you can guess the price. If you guess correctly, you win half a Bitcoin. If you took 10 or more trades on that exchange, you'll win the other half a Bitcoin. Thus, you could potentially stand to win 3 full Bitcoin, which is absolutely unbelievable offer. And you can guess, a couple of times a week. I think you get 1 per week based on each exchange. It's all listed below. Just go through to the description. Everything is written in over there. All right, let's get into the altcoin. So one that I'm watching carefully over here is KASPA. We went through it with the Wales school members yesterday on the live, and we spoke about KASPA. KASPA BTC coming down into these low levels. What you want to do for this particular coin, which has longevity in the space, right? There's no VCs, none of that kind of stuff. So, it's mostly just all on the open market, and it's mined. It's proof of work, which gives it, better tokenomics and opportunity to succeed. So what you want to do is you want to watch this over here, and you simultaneously want to watch the USD pair, right? This is what I'm looking at personally. I'm looking at a breakdown all the way to what could go. It's not guaranteed, but what could go down to 0.096. Now, the way that you want to trade this is if this does happen, if this plays out and you come into this region and you're showing signs of strength and you start to hold that level and you see buying pressure step in to create the deviation of the bottom of the range. Remember, deviations, oftentimes you sweep the low, you come back inside and then you move up, right? You sweep the top, you come back inside and you move down. Same thing over here, deviation, deviation. If you get the deviation on the USD pair, well, simultaneously you're getting the deviation over here on the, of course, the KASPA BTC pair, which is the altcoin BTC pair, and this breaks back into the trend over here, then you have an absolutely amazing trade and opportunity on your hands, right? Especially if this all lines up with everything that we're predicting will happen in the next 60 days or so, which is the breakdown of Bitcoin dominance, the breakdown of the USDT dominance, the breakout of the others' dominance, and the increase of liquidity based on a change to loose monetary policy, which is going to be announced by the Federal Reserve, right? We need to wait for the Federal Reserve to speak, and then we need to read their notes to see, is this something that's happening? Now, I'm giving you one example over here, but this is ultimately how you want to think. You want to look at all the various different coins that you're planning to get into. This is how in Whale Room we've managed to succeed so much, is because we first chart the BTC pair to make sure that this is strong before we move into the USD pair. And if the two are in agreement and you have confirmation from both of them, then it becomes a great trade, right? So think about that. It's food for thought, right? This is more for swing traders though, or longer term investors. If you're just simply a short-term trader, it doesn't matter. You can trade whatever, the Bitcoin dominance, or at least the alt BTC pair, doesn't matter, right? The only thing that matters is that you get your risk to reward ratio correct and you have a high enough hit rate to hit those profit levels. So let's get into your requests. I see there's a whole lot of them over here. Let's go. The first one I saw over there is Ponky. So let's go to Ponky. How's Ponky doing? Okay, up 6.81%. This is one of the sizable positions that I have in my portfolio. So looking really, really good over there. You can see how it was holding the mid-range. Your resistance area that's going to be coming in is going to be on the top side over here. Now, if you can actually hold above that, if you can break through that resistance level and get above and hold there, that's going to be incredibly bullish, right? So you're holding the mid-range. What you want to see is you want to see price push up, and alongside Bitcoin as it consolidates in the sign of strength phase over here, you would be looking for the same thing, and that should lead to the next markup. So Ponky looking really good. This is a meme coin on Solana. If Solana does well, the meme coins on Solana tend to do well as well. All right, we got Sui and Say. Let's go to Sui and Say all the way on the top over here. So Sui, okay, still looking really strong. The big move up over here, you want to continue to hold this level similar to the rest, right? This is where your sign of strength comes into play. This is where bulls take controls. If you can maintain above the top side of the range over here, and then you're looking for a big move out of there. If you look at Say is pretty much right in the zone for trade opportunity, pulling back ever so slightly, but somewhere within this region over here, you're looking for to scale into this trade, get an entry over there. Stop loss goes below the wicks that occurred over here on Monday the 28th of October and Friday, the 25th of October. If you can get and hold above this region over here, that opens up the trade all the way to 58 cents. And then, maybe it starts to become a 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗧𝗕 competitor narrative that picks up, right? You never know. These markets are always driven by narrative. And then you can look for a bigger breakout targeting as high as $1, right? Maybe it's going to be the catch-up trade. 𝗬𝗎's already trading at $2, stays all the way down at 39 cents. Maybe there's some sort of a catch-up that occurs over there. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let's double check Solana since it really holds the weight of all of our various different meme coins. So far, Solana looking decent over here, holding above the 162. That's all that we want to see. Now, probably it is in need of a bit of a pullback following a move like this, as is the rest of the market. All that you're looking for in all of these coins is, you just want to form a bit of a range over the next 2 weeks. This is all that you want to see. You want to see a range form over there. That should create a base which is strong enough to get prices higher. The consolidations are good things, guys. After big moves like this, it's healthy for the market. All right. What else? Okay, 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗓. Yeah, let's go to 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗓. That's another request over there. So 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗓 is still holding up, right? That's the trade opportunity. Give it a little bit of time. If you do break this yellow line over here, then expect you're going to move all the way back down to $3.47, and you're going to have to attempt the long trade once again, right? Let's scroll through to some of the others. We have 𝗕𝗏t. I see there's a request on 𝗕𝗏t. I don't know, has 𝗕𝗏t been doing well lately or not really? Where's our AI section? Here it is, 𝗕𝗏t. Let's have a look at 𝗕𝗏t. A little bit choppy, very hard to comment on this. Not much going on in terms of like attempting to find an entry. These are the levels. You kind of have to just wait this one out. If you're DCAing in, it's a different story. But if 𝗕𝗏t does something like that, there's an opportunity looking to enter in at about 106. Alternatively, if it does something like this, you have to wait for the reclaim of this, and then maybe you can buy the next major high low. Right now, 𝗕𝗏t is in the middle of no man's land. So you're either waiting for a break above $1.51, or you're waiting for a sweep and hold $1.05. Those are the areas of interest. Okay. What else? Let's check render. How's render doing? Okay, still sweeping this level. It hasn't moved in the way that we want yet. I still don't have any render in my portfolio. I would like to add it, so we'll gauge how things go in the coming days. But maybe it's better to, instead of view this as an ascending triangle, rather just treat this as a range. The thing is that there's a big inefficiency that was created over here based on this wick, and that still yet hasn't been tagged, right? So if by some chance render does come down into that level, that's probably where I'll watch for the reaction. If you see something like that, that's going to happen all the way at about 370. That's going to be the area where I start to get interested. Otherwise, I just need to wait for structure to develop a little bit better on render. Right now, it's very, very choppy, similar to 𝗕𝗏t. It's all over the place, kind of difficult to chart. Okay, I see there's a request on Rune. Let's go to Rune. Where is Rune? Just 1 second, guys. Let's grab that over there. Rune, where are you? Here we go. Here's Rune. So Rune had a nice big move. Remember, we've been looking at this. Look, it's probably going to pull back over here. If you do get the pullback into the trend line again, that becomes an opportunity. Let's quickly have a look at some of the levels over here. This is a bit of a fair value gap that's been created on Rune. So there it is. We're going to put that in over there. Theoretically, you're coming directly into that fair value gap. So if you are looking for sneaky long, watch for the opportunity as price pulls in here. You're looking on the low time frames for signs of strength. If it seems to be holding up over there, you can start to target high prices, and then your stops go below the Monday candle that expanded towards the upside. That's where you'd be placing a tight stop. If you lose that, of course, you're coming into this trend line, and then there's a possibility that you could even break it, right? So if the fair value gap's going to hold, this is essentially where you're looking for the move is, and it doesn't always come to the bottom, some target somewhere around the middle, around this 560. If you pull into that zone, that's going to be a decent area to pay attention to. So, in terms of the other cross-chain protocols, these are the 4 that I'm most interested in. Rune, Zeus, right? We looked at Zeus over here. We spoke about it coming into the key area. We got our beautiful move out from there. So that's looking good over there. We looked at 𝗥𝗔𝗓. 𝗥𝗔𝗓 is the other one, right? Still attempting to hold up over here. We really need to see acceptance gained above 77 cents, which is your range high. You did have the big inefficiency candle as well, similar to what I just outlined on Rune. Let's just quickly clean that up. So similar to what you had on Rune, you created your fair value gap over here. You can see price came perfectly into the fair value gap, started to move. So theoretically, you know, on this trade, stops would be going below Monday's low, that candle over there on Monday's low. And what you really want to see is you want to see this hold up. You want to see this move. You want to see Bitcoin breakout. You want to see this create a deviation, but above the top side of the range. So this is the key level. This is for Axelar. This is your key level at 70 cents, 77 cents. You want to gain that deviation over there, and that should rapidly create the markup to the next levels, which is going to be all the way at the top. Now, another one that I want to look at over here is PRQ. So this is one of the most overlooked coins at the moment, which is usually where you want to pay attention, right? When the rest of the market is not interested in these things. This is the PRQ token, which ultimately, you know, I'm looking for reaccumulation at the range lows over here, which is exactly where price is. When you start to see the rest of the cross-chain protocols pick up, then this is probably going to move, right? Remember, you do have an opportunity on this one. We spoke about this one before, where you have an opportunity to front run the rest of the market. So if we do go to the PRQ token, let's just quickly open this up. The PRQ token. Okay, so they are going to be launching the React token. The PRQ token is going to be, I guess, transitioning into the React token. It's a whole new launch. They wanted to beat the VCs, right? So initially, they ran on the old model where they had the VCs. That means the vesting schedule comes into play, and those VCs get vesting schedule unlocks at which they can claim their tokens, and ultimately it's up to them if they want to hold or sell. Most of the time they end up selling, and this is what creates the chart like this, right? That ends up moving towards the downside. So since we've now noticed that releasing 100% of the supply seems to be the best bet, they remodeling the whole thing. But if you do hold the PRQ token and you buy it now after its massive dump, right? It's already come down 96.9%. For each PRQ token that you hold, you will receive one of the React tokens in return for that, right? Remember, so no VCs are involved with this. They're not owned by VCs. The competitors are Layer 0, Wormhole, Axelar, Celestia, all at much, much higher volumes and or valuations, whereas the fully diluted valuation on this is only 25 million, right? So it can play catch up to the other high valuations. Plus, you're going to be receiving the other tokens, which are probably going to launch at about $100 million market cap, which already gives you about a 4x. Last time we mentioned it, there was a 5x in it. Now there's a 4x, right? This is an easy 4x, a very, very easy 4x. So the React token probably goes live in December, early December. What they're going to do is they're going to release a bridge where you'll be able to pretty much bridge across and claim the tokens, right? So that's going to happen off-chain. Even though you can buy this on exchanges, it's fine. Once you buy it, you can send it to a DEX wallet, and then that's where the swap will occur and you'll get your React tokens, right? So it's a 1-for-1 switch that occurs over there. All right, let's continue. What other ones do we have? Drop in the comment section. Beam. Okay, let's have a look at Beam. How's Beam doing? All right. Okay, Beam. Let's go to Beam. So falling wedge formation started to break out, reclaim the key range level over there. It is putting in higher highs and higher lows, kind of track price over here. I would maybe just use like a little bit of a parallel channel. Let's just see how this all lines up over here. Do you have some nice pivot levels? You do, right? You do have, so it should respect this. You have some nice pivot levels. Those are the zones that I'd be looking at. Let's quickly clean this up a little bit for you. Let's make this maybe a different color so it stands out. We'll make it orange. We'll make it nice and big. So that's it, right? You can see over here, you have your previous area that held your pivot level, comes up, loses that level. You find support at the bottom. You reject from the top, find support at the bottom, reject from the mid-range. Now you're lining up with the horizontal over here. So if I'm looking at Beam, probably the area of interest is going to be into this zone, right? If you can come down to 0.0159, watch for something like that. Look for the move up. We can always check as well when it comes to those fib levels. So let's quickly have a look at the fib levels over there. 1 second. Let's put that in. And let's quickly see where the golden pocket is. and the 0.382. Just hold on a sec. Okay, there we go. So you are coming into the 0.382. That's an area of interest. I would say, if you can find it, that's exactly lining up on the horizontal prior support over there. So areas of interest, 0.016 with the possibility of scaling down to 0.015 if you're looking for the longs. And then, of course, your invalidation is going to be this low that occurred on the 10th of October. Okay, PopCat. Let's go to PopCat. PopCat's really extended now. I'm still holding every single one of my tokens. I haven't taken any profits. It kind of feels scary, I must be honest, because this is just an absolute crazy move with no pullbacks. This thing's done 286%. Eventually, there's going to be a flush, right? Eventually, there will be a flush. And when that flush occurs, your most likely support level, I'm going to mark it out over here. Let's just grab our box. There we go. I'd probably be targeting this region over here. This is going to be where price probably comes into for PopCat. So anywhere between this, 91 cents and $1 region. So from current levels, if you had a breakdown, that's about a 38 to 40% move towards the downside. Okay, Simon's cat. We can have a look at that. I know Simon's cat is a pretty famous meme as well, and it's doing pretty well. Okay, let's see. We haven't looked at it for a while. I'm going to clean this up a bit. Let's just see how it matches with this. Okay, kind of just looking at that area. I mean, there's not much price issue over here, so it's always difficult to chart these things, but this is clearly a huge inefficiency candle, which is now being filled as we speak. So main areas of interest, I'd probably treat this as the range low. As price comes into that region, maybe you can say a little bit of support coming into this zone over here. That's the area to hold, right? You don't really want to see price trade below that region, especially when you have a huge candle like this. You kind of want to find support soon and begin moving off of this. If you lose that, this is typically then when it starts to bleed out. Also, if you look at these highs on a closing basis, that's your high. And now you're closing at lower highs, right? The wicks are almost at the same place, but the actual closing candles are slightly lower. All right. What else, guys? What else? Yeah, 𝗕𝗥. Let's have a look at 𝗕𝗥. 𝗕𝗥 is definitely one of my top picks, right, for this cycle. I'm very, very, very bullish on this token. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. Have a look at it. Look at that chart, guys. I really don't think you should fade 𝗕𝗥. Remember, the whale room community, we dropped this to you all the way at the bottom of the range low over here. If you took this trade with us, you're already up 100%, right? Also, I haven't sold a single token. And when it comes to 𝗕𝗥, I'm probably going to hold this for the entirety of the cycle. I'll wait till max peak euphoria before actually taking anything off the table. This is looking really, really good, right? You can see that parabola, which is starting to form over there. So you have a nice parabola and meets all the criteria. Beautiful touch points over there. Everything's holding up, and it's looking good for continuation. So let's monitor this. We'll continue to pay attention, and we'll make adjustments if we need to. Turbo, yeah, let's have a look at Turbo. Turbo USDT. All right, there we have it. Okay, look, probably coming down for a bit of a pullback. So similar to what I mentioned with PopCat, let's quickly mark out the most obvious areas where you would get your pullback. If it comes down into this zone, anything into this region is where you want to start to find support, and then you want Turbo to begin to move once again. So best case scenario for a lot of these coins that have moved really hard is you want that chop, right? You want that chop to occur now. You just kind of want that sideways range to build over here. So similar to what you built up over here, right? You built up the sideways range, you range for a bit, you create your markup, price moves up, and then you want to range a little bit further, right? So keep an eye out on that. All right, what else, guys? Drop the comments over there. Again, I do want to remind you, Diamond Hands, guys, become part of the Diamond Hands crew in the whale room. Also, in the future, I just mentioned over here to them, in the future, there may or may not be special perks if you do hold the Diamond Hands, right? Because the whale room's constantly developing. Today is the last day. You have to join now. There will be opportunities in the future as well, of course, but it's never going to be cheaper than what it is today. This is the last final call. The links are in the description below. Okay, let's go to 𝗕𝗥. We have to go to 𝗕𝗥, guys. This is crazy. You won't believe this. If you go through to 𝗕𝗥, this is nuts. Let me just see over here. Look at this. 𝗕𝗥. Let's go to 𝗕𝗥. You cannot believe this, guys. So 𝗕𝗥, look at that. Joe Rogan podcast. Solid notes. I mean, now 𝗕𝗥𝗓 has been retweeted by Michael Saylor and Joe Rogan, which is pretty big, right? Pretty big. They put this whole video below. Absolutely insane content. Again, we got in, at least with the whale room community, at $800,000 market cap. So we are still up significantly on this trade, over 10x. And it's such a pity that the price hasn't taken off yet, given the fact that these massive influential figures have already been, re-commenting and tweeting about this. Of course, we know that, a lot of different people, a lot of influential crypto people, at least, are jumping onto the 𝗕𝗥𝗓𝗢 bandwagon. So whether they're silently filling their bags or not, I don't know. I'm still holding every single token. Here's your chart over here, TA rules, right? This shows you the truth of what's really happening. This is your ultimate range lows. That's the key level, 0.0060. I think if it gets anywhere near there, that's kind of an opportunity to start to buy it. But really, you want to see this reclaim above 0.03390 before it actually starts to get moving. So I'm definitely bullish on 𝗕𝗥𝗓 for the long term. I think it got as high as about like $120 million market cap. I think that this could be $1 billion token in the future. We just need to see, if it garners any additional hype. Okay, what else, guys? PayPay. Yeah, we can have a look at PayPay. That's the Chinese PayPay coin. So we do need to see China's hand in crypto before this one actually starts to run. But nevertheless, let's see what the chart looks like over here. Okay, so kind of losing this region. We really want to see this hold as an ascending triangle, but you can't keep changing the lines over here. It's essentially broken that level, which is not a good sign. Therefore, you have to default to the next level, which is going to be the horizontals, right? In terms of your horizontals, this is going to be a range low support. That's kind of the level where you would want to see this reaccumulate. Last couple of digits around that $10,000 mark, right? 10,000 or 10,000 mark, not $10,000. 10,000 is the last 5 digits over there. All right, that's it from me, folks. Let's move on to the next thing, which is going to be the Whale Room Live later today. I'll catch all of you on tomorrow's show. Hope you have an absolutely stellar day. And remember, it's a final day to jump into Whale Room at $99 a month. I'll see you guys all there, and cheers for now.